As a trans person, there's a certain point in the HRT process where you begin to really slow down in front of your own reflection. And as the months pass and as your body changes and morphs, you start to really fall in love with your body again. Or maybe for the first time. And as your body changes and as you start to linger in front of the mirror, you start to think thoughts like, hey, I should start taking progress photos. Hey, I should start taking videos of myself naked more often. Just, with some casual nudes for only myself, really. It happens so slowly and then all at once. The thought of, you know what, I should show these progress pics to people. All right, I showed my closer friends and maybe my partner or partners. Maybe I should show the internet or Discord servers. But I can't just toss this gold out there for free. Might as well charge. Oh wait, should I start an OnlyFans? And for better or for worse, we now live in an era where it's pretty simple to set up an account to then sell your nudes through. But should you? A mere 4 or 5 months into my HRT process, I started asking myself this very question. And while the rewards were pretty obvious, a slight amount of cash perhaps, the validation of others, and the feeling of being perceived and lusted over, the downsides were also just as sort of ephemeral and numerous. I have a career that I want to work towards, and I neither have the reputational stability or the time to maybe focus on this aspect. But instead of focusing on hypotheticals and theoreticals, I decided to interview 3 trans porn stars to get their opinions on the matter. I spoke with Autumn Rain, Jack Quicksilver, and Maria Girl, who gave me very, very fantastic information that I will now share with you. Let's see what the experts have to say. What got you into starting adult content?
I'd always been a bit curious, in the back of my head, oh, hey, what if,
I, like many people, started in 2020.
So the way I started OnlyFans was as a means of having another source of income compared to in-person full-service sex work, which I started about 8 months before that.
I used to be a pharmacy tech.
At CVS, right?
Yes, yeah, CVS. I used to be a Snapchat vlogger, and I got banned off of Snapchat because I was vlogging in the pharmacy.
I was working and in grad school and really burned out. Then a bunch of lockdowns started and I got even more burned out and stressed out. At the same time, I was having a gender crisis and I was I don't really know what I'm doing. I guess I'll buy a Packer.
And I was really upset. So I downloaded Grindr because I was damn, I want to do some angry fucking right now, right?
Yeah.
And I met up with someone a day or two later, and this person was a gay porn star. And they're oh my God, I love your energy. You're so bubbly. You're so much fun. You do great in porn. And I was fuck it, why not? I made a Twitter account, and then I posted a picture of me.
And so I started to post nudes and lewds on Reddit because I was I don't know, this feels fun. And I got a really, really good responses from it and was able to engage with people in a way that felt really good. I actually have a partner who has dated a lot of sex workers, and so this person was hey, I think you could actually do this if you wanted to, because you seem really not happy with the other stuff you're doing in your life. At the time, I lived in California, and the state of California was basically doing a pandemic universal basic income. I don't know if I'm the poster child for UBI, because I got that and was great, I'm gonna make porn. It really did help me to come back from burnout, figure out a whole different business.
As a former escort by now, I was in different groups for local sex workers in Austria, and I did meet some people who did full service and online work. You don't even necessarily have to have friends to get started. You just have to be sure that that's what you want to do. And for me, I wanted to do that just to be less reliant on the money coming in from random guys, because as the economy is getting worse, which I've been noticing over the past year, there are fewer and fewer in-person clients.
The original conceit for the video was, should you start an OnlyFans after however many months of HRT?
I've read that and I can give you my answer. No. So I think a lot of people who start transitioning after they get to a point they're happy with, they are kind of proud and they want to express their sexuality a bit, And the thing they start doing is OnlyFans, which is an actual job and actually comes with legal requirements, tax liability. It has immigration consequences if you're a foreigner trying to enter the United States. You may be declined if you have an OnlyFans account.
And I think what one should expect or think about, hopefully going in, is what your goals are. Do you mainly want to feel good about your body and like show that off and get nice feedback for it?
If you really just want to explore your sexuality or like show off your gains, like your body, I think an Instagram will do fine and will have just as many horny men twice your age asking for pictures.
Or do you want to like pay for your rent with it? It's like a very common misconception, and it's a very popular misconception, that you can just like sell feet pics and like get $900 a month. They just released a report showing that like 95% of OnlyFans models made less than $1,000 in 2023. So I know people personally who have been like, oh, I'm gonna start this, I'm really hot, I'm really confident, and I'm gonna have a great time and make a shitload of money. And like that last part didn't happen. And that's something that takes a lot of actual time and work.
People only see your content if they go to your page and subscribe. OnlyFans will never promote you. You have to do that. You have to get people to click on your OF link. If someone starts an OnlyFans trying to, like take some sexy poses and look good, they're never gonna get any traffic because you need to spend 80% of your time promoting an OnlyFans account. You have to do that by posting stuff on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, Snapchat, every platform that you can find, you have to post promotional pictures on.
Was that something you were aware of when you started?
Yes, I was. I know a lot of people who weren't. I know a lot of my friends. They posted for a few weeks and then abandoned it. The way those often go is that they're on a Discord server with other adult trans people and they kind of check out each other's stuff.
I like the idea of a bunch of trans people sending each other the same $5 every month.
So I hope people will temper their expectations, because if you just want to go online and have fun and maybe make some money, that's easy. But if you want to like make an amount you can report on your taxes, that's much harder. Wow, she got spicy with me just now.
I want them to take into consideration if they are in good standing with their family. If you do not want your family to know that you do porn, don't do porn.
Yeah, shit happens, and it can sometimes happen in ways that you are not expecting. I've known a couple people, and they did not realize that meta apps, so like Instagram, Facebook, etc., will sort of draw from your contact info on your phone, for example. So they had like a whole separate Instagram account for like their sexy persona, and because they did not know this, it was pushed to their family. They basically just quit right there. So yeah, sometimes you think you can be very careful and it can like bite you in the ass, unfortunately.
And that's sure for everyone, but more specifically for trans folks. Unless they're immediately right out the gate super supportive, if your family took some time to, get used to the new you, it's gonna take longer for the porn thing. There is a stigma for porn that's a lot stronger for some people than trans folks. Sure, people are like, oh, you're unnatural if you're trans, blah, blah, the hateful stuff that some people say. But a lot of people associate porn with like the devil.
Some people think they can do a faceless creator where they kind of hide everything above here, which first of all will massively impact the revenue. And of course, it's also not going to work because if you have a birthmark or a scar, you can still be recognized, and that still isn't going to stop them that much. And of course, the US government will know anyways, because when you sign up for OnlyFans, you have to scan your face with biometrics, and they do hand those over to law enforcement, so...
Have you received like more pushback and, I guess, alienation as a result of being trans versus as a result of being on OnlyFans?
So that's a very difficult question, because the fact that I'm trans is apparent, because I am 6'4". So I get more trouble for that, because I don't actually wear this shirt in public. That top is just for when I record YouTube videos.
The trans hate that's going on right now, sure it exists, but I think it is hyper inflated by the media. I think, yes, it exists and it's something we should be wary about, but I don't think we should be so debilitatingly worried that we won't go outside, because that's what is getting views, and that's just what's popular on media right now, because that's what people are clicking on. That's what people are getting views on. And I think I'm more concerned about being recognized as a porn star because, like I said, sure, trans hate exists, but I don't think it's as bad as the internet's making it out to be.
What qualities do you feel are necessary for someone to enjoy sex work?
Oh, you've got to love attention at some level.
Yeah.
Like, I'm an introvert, but I still love attention. So if you're a person who's uncomfortable with being looked at or scrutinized, that will be very uncomfortable for you. And I think the other side of that is, like, you have to be able to be somewhat critical of yourself or accept criticism without it hurting or wounding you.
Oh.
I was just destroying this plan. Wow.
Now that I'm looking over there, are those dildos?
Yeah, I forgot to put them away. They're clean.
You gotta have time management, and you have to be at least semi-thick-skinned. And I hate being the person to say that. I'm a lot harder to upset than most people my age, but you have to take into consideration you will be declined shoots. You'll be declined collaborations. Some people will ignore you. Some people might not like your look. People will talk behind your back if you've made any sort of name for yourself. Be careful who you make friends with. Make sure that they've got your back. But also find your people who you're willing to support and who are willing to support you. And don't get upset at every negative thing that comes your way. You can't see the negatives. You have to see the positives. Otherwise, you're going to burn out in a year. And that's a lot of people. A lot of people don't make it past year 2, and that's a statistic.
But what is your relationship like with chasers?
Chasers is such a term that I feel conflicted about, because there's absolutely like trans fetishists, right? Where they're like, you're not a person to me. You're like these sets of sexual traits, and like that's what gets me off. But I think those people are actually like pretty rare. And that mostly people who are into trans people are into us because we are hot and sexy. And like maybe they don't know like the correct ways to say that to us, but they're not like fetishizing us. I always think about this tweet from this other trans guy who was like, she sucked my dick in a way that was transphobic and chaser-esque. Because it's just like there is such a spectrum there. I'm gonna sound like a chaser apologist right now, but I've literally seen people tweet like T for T is problematic because you're fetishizing each other. I'm like, you need to get laid, dude. Like, what are you talking about?
That's just what OnlyFans is like. The vast majority of people who consume porn are going to be heterosexual men, and if you're trans, they're going to be... Chaser is a strong word. Some of them will behave like it, some of them will be very respectful, but they're going to be older men wanting to explore their sexuality. That's something you need to be ready for. And of course, that's something you see on Instagram just as well as on OnlyFans. And dealing with them on OnlyFans, I don't mind because they pay me to chat with me, so I'm okay with that.
It's a problem with labels, right? It cuts things down very precisely. So you're either a chaser or you're not. And so we can define that. But it's like, I don't know, that kind of erases the possibility of like all these ways people can be attracted to trans bodies, which are beautiful and sexy and hot. And like, should we be quarantining that and saying that's only for certain people? I don't know. It feels counterproductive to me.
When you started doing porn, do you feel like that was something that you only felt comfortable with once you had transitioned? Or could you imagine yourself still putting your foot into that world even pre-transition?
Pre-transition, probably not. I was extremely depressed. I was dysphoric constantly. You know, it was like I need a transition or I'm, you know, I was a do or die kind of person. If I didn't have estrogen, I wouldn't be here because I would, you know, not be alive because of, you know, such extreme gender dysphoria. I didn't really even lose my virginity until after I transitioned. That's how bad my dysphoria was. You know, I'd known for years. I didn't know what was going on early. I was like, oh, I want to be a girl. Oh, but I can't do that. You know, oh, you know, then Tumblr comes around. They're like, hey, kiddo, yes, you can. I'm just like, oh my God.
You could be trans. Also, here's Elmo fucking a Teletubby.
Stop.
I'm really glad you're still here with us today.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So am I. So is my girlfriend and my family and millions of people who have jacked off to me, you know.
You're the only one. I mean, I've only spoken with 3 people so far, but you're the only one who started pre-transition. How do you feel that experience differs from people who start post-transition?
I realized really quickly I had to figure out how to keep the audience through that. Non-binary is a great word for like social stuff, but it's not so great for porn stuff. Nobody knows what that is, right? So if you look at like the non-binary tags, you're gonna get everything. Very early on, I started to use like other words for content I was making and was continuing to make. So I would sometimes use non-binary. I would also use tomboy. I would use boy, which is B-O-I.
Boy.
Yeah. I only relatively recently started to use FTM because, again, I was like, I need to find people who are looking for people who look like me. So even if I'm not a binary trans man, I'm like, FTM, whatever, just get in here. To answer your question then, I think people who are post-transition or, like post-op or post-hormones to some extent, right? To the point where they're like no longer identifiable as their gender of origin, they can like slot more easily into those groups and like think less about like, how are people perceiving me and more about like, what am I presenting to people?
There's a lot of like the internal is coming to the external versus the external is meeting the internal. But you've touched on like before your transition, you felt a lot more performative. I don't know if we've touched on like how you feel now, probably better, but like how has doing OnlyFans and sex work and then being able to like see a difference pre and post op helped you view your body?
That's such a great question. Thank you. I really started because I was curious about how other people saw me, right? And I was like, I'm not sure how I see me. How do you see me? I don't notice the changes unless I like go look for them. I feel very lucky in that sex work has made me feel confident. It's shown me ways of desiring and being desired that I wouldn't have known otherwise, and that make me feel really good. When people come and buy a custom video for me, are almost always requesting like POV domination with like these very masculine roles. It's been like really interesting to inhabit these roles that are like not really what I would do in my personal life or like how I feel ever on a daily basis, but it's like we're doing this like masculine violence but safe BDSM roleplay, and I feel like glad that these fans like trust me with that experience.
And then you touched on this a little bit earlier, but you mentioned that after surgery, 9 out of 10 trans masc performers report like a huge decrease in their audience.
Yeah, and that's like my observation. There's like no data on this, but I've seen it happen a couple times in like really crushing, devastating ways. In one case from like a really long time sex worker who'd been like camming and stuff for maybe 9 years, and after top surgery he did not, as far as I could tell, like make plans or engage his audience with it much. He just like had to quit. That was really hard on him, and I feel really fortunate that from the start I was clear with like my audience that it was gonna happen. And I think that was important because then they were like, okay, like I did lose like the fans who support me now mostly are not people who supported me before, but the ones who stayed around were like, okay, yeah, I'm on to this like gender thing. I'm into it. Let's do it.
So it seems like the average trans person who starts to dabble with the idea of starting an OnlyFans does so because they start to have a different relationship with their body. Was there any part of you as you started an OnlyFans that was like, oh, I hope this helps the way I view myself as I transition? Or has having the OnlyFans continue change the way that you view your body at all?
It's definitely made me a lot more aware of my body and what I look like, and about all sorts of stuff, about weird insecurities I didn't have before, like belly folds and whatnot. For example, makeup, which I used to never do, so in my first posts I didn't have it. And I realized if I have it, about twice as many people will click on the OnlyFans link. So I just got a lot better at doing my own makeup. And it does help with the self-image if, you always wear makeup and everyone kind of thinks you're hot. It's definitely nice to have that, to get likes on your body. And of course, to make money is a more abstract form of validation. I think it's far more direct validation if you post something on Discord or on Instagram, because you do get more likes, you get more engagement.
It's helped a lot. Not only was it just a mix of like me seeing people compliment me, thinking I'm like actually pretty, actually beautiful, that someone thinks that I'm hot, that really helped with it. Before porn, I was very much like, I need to get bottom surgery or I'm going to be in serious danger mentally. But now I'm kind of like, yeah, I do want it, but I can wait a few more years until I'm done with porn. It's not like I need it now like it was 4 years ago. It's very much like, one day. Maybe we'll have better technology a few years from now, and it'll be an even better healing process, and it'll be even more this and that, it'll be less dangerous.
Because I know that you almost bled out from getting your boobs done, right?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Do you feel like if you hadn't had that bad experience with the boob surgery, that you would have already gotten bottom surgery?
No, this was more of a priority than bottom surgery, especially for porn, because I'm just like, if I get rid of my dick, I'm gonna lose 90% of my fans.
If you weren't doing porn, do you think that you would have gotten bottom surgery?
Yeah, probably.
How does that affect your image or?
It doesn't bother me, really, because I've just been instilled so much confidence by doing porn for the past few years that I'm just like, I'll write it until I can't make all that money anymore, and then I'll get bottom surgery and maybe I'll work like a part-time job. I mean, I'm not trying to become one of those millionaires from porn.
And to be clear, I'm coming from a trans mask perspective, so I don't want to speak to anyone else's experiences. This is just what I've experienced or what I've noticed other trans mask people going through. Especially if you're pre-op and you still have tits, people are obsessed with tits. This is not a surprise to anyone. And so they'll want to see them and they'll talk about them. And sometimes they'll bring up a fetish you really don't like or that makes you feel horrible. If someone's into pregnancy talk or role play. And I know for trans mask people, sometimes that can be a hard fuck no. The same with feeling fetishized. I mean, dysphoria is so unique to every person and what triggers it, how it feels, how it's experienced. So once you start putting yourself out into this really vulnerable place on the internet, people can say whatever to you. And that can be really fucking hard and unexpected. And if you have no way to process that, or you're not good at enforcing your boundaries, or you are kind of doing this because you want to feel affirmed in your gender, you might have the opposite happen, which is disappointing and can be painful.
And I feel especially if you're someone who's newly trans and also newly into sex content, you're experiencing two different types of criticism at the same time that you weren't expecting. I just wanted to know, how do you keep your self-confidence up? I mean, obviously you're hot, but...
Thank you. There's some stuff I do that's not work related, right? I go to the gym and I try to eat right. And I have sources of affirmation that are not from sex work too. And I think those are really important to have or to cultivate. You get incredible highs and lows. You'll get the most effusive, soul perceiving compliments from a stranger online. And then you'll get a total knuckle dragger saying the worst shit to you. Having a social life, again, revolutionary ideas here, where you are perceived as your gender and you're affirmed in other ways is super grounding. To be this is who I am. Whether or not randos online see that or not does not matter to me anymore.
I found you through your 4 reasons why you shouldn't start adult content to pay for your top surgery. The first one was that the content market is extremely oversaturated. This is true with, honestly, any social media. So many people want to be YouTubers, so many people want to be streamers, so many people want to be Instagram models, so many people want to be OnlyFans models. You mentioned that there's a merciless grind that could take years, and you never make more than pocket change.
Yeah. People love making nudes, making sex tapes. It's not it's hard to find that content, even if you feel you're very unique, maybe in your history or your gender presentation or your body or your personality. People need to see that and care. And so if they're just interested in looking at whole pics, there's probably billions online for free. And what you want to do to attract a great audience, hopefully even one that values your content, you have to have a social media presence and tell people who you are and why they should want to look at your whole.
There are plenty of niches you can explore. There are all types of different body shapes and sizes and all that. And there are different types of fashion. There are some who just do cosplay on OnlyFans. And that's going to attract a very different market than me, who just kind of does, I'm going to call it vanilla stuff. You have to keep in mind the content you make on the platform, on OnlyFans, is less important than the promotional material you make. So if you dress up in a hot goth outfit and you go viral on TikTok, you will get a lot of OF subs, whether the content is any good or not. So it's more of marketing than it is of actually doing pornography.
So generally your advice is don't start an OnlyFans, but if you do, make sure you're good at marketing. The arena is only oversaturated if you're not trying to be unique.
My general advice isn't don't start an OnlyFans. I don't tell people what to do. Everyone's free to make their own choices and mistakes. I just think we need to move to a point where people think about the consequences of that choice. I haven't even mentioned that there are people who will just steal the content and upload it on 4chan or send it to your employer because they feel like it, or try to threaten you, hey, give me money or I leak your OnlyFans content. To which I'm at a point where I say, oh, that's free promotion, thank you. But a lot of people that are trying to keep this hidden from family, friends, school, will have lots of anxiety about that. So that's a big danger. In general, I welcome new people to join OnlyFans. It's just a lot of the time when you see people on TikTok say, OnlyFans is so great, I make so much easier money, I never work. Usually what they have is called a referral link. And if you create an account through that link, they get 5% of everything you earn. And that's the only reason that they're telling you that you should start OnlyFans. So we very much have a problem online. We're in the discourse about OnlyFans, about the people who might start one. You have a lot of people talking really loudly, yeah, you should start one, definitely, and send me some of the money, please, without actually talking about the potential downsides. So if someone's just thinking of creating one because they want to show off the body progress, I would advise just go do it on Discord.
If you don't really care, it can instill a sense of confidence in you if you find your right people. If you don't fit the very stereotypical, toxic as fuck, by the way, beauty standards, it will be harder, but there's a niche for all types of people, all shapes, all sizes, all colors, all types of hair. You will find your people, but it might be discouraging at first. And that happens, and that's natural. Not everyone just blows the fuck up at first. That does happen, but it's so rare. So just go into it knowing that it's a risk and it could hurt you, it could bite you in the ass, but it could also really change your life in a positive way too.
I feel like we've touched on most of what I had. Do you have anything that you want to talk about before we came in, or stuff you wanted me to ask that I didn't touch on?
I'm working on a course for trans and queer people who would like to start online sex work.
Oh, this is fucking perfect.
yeah. So I was really excited about your questions because I was I hope people will find what I'm saying valuable and interesting. So it's still in progress, but it's gonna be 12 chapters or something, and it's gonna be on a Discord so people can ask questions and support each other and stuff. So if someone would be interested in that, you should follow my Instagram and go to my website, jackquicksilver.com.
I mean, I could plug and just say, I have a YouTube video titled Should You Start an OnlyFans, which goes over pretty much everything I said and more in a way more succinct way. One of the big downsides, which I'm looking at right now with my OnlyFans statistics open on my other screen, is OnlyFans likes to guilt you. They will show you red numbers with a negative sign in front of them, and they will have a downward arrow every time you make less money than last month. It can be a mental health issue because you're struggling, you're putting in all of your effort, you're putting in 20 hours a week sometimes, and then OnlyFans is saying, you did 10% less, worse this time. Much like any social media site, it's important to not overwork yourself and not to focus too much on the infinite growth. The platforms will always try to push it for infinite growth because that's how they profit. Just be aware of what your own limits are, don't overwork yourself. Keep in mind, it could always fail. There is a chance that you can be on OnlyFans for months, you can be on YouTube for months, you can be on Twitch or Instagram for years, and you will never see any money. And my mental health advice for OnlyFans is open it once or twice a day to see what's going on, and don't open it other than that. I used to have it open in the background so I would get notified every time someone sent me money. And if no one sends you money for the whole day, that's sad.
I mean, that's everything I have for you. I mean, I'd be down to do another interview with you again. You said that you wanted to talk more about the reception of just like being in porn generalmente. But
Yeah, as a trans person, yeah, definitely. We could do a whole interview on that.
hell yeah, we'll do it exclusive. That's it from me. How do you feel?
Great. My partner made cookies.
What
so
type of
I'm gonna go
cookies?
eat, like, they are oatmeal, walnut, cranberry with
Okay,
like, chocolate chunks.
I'm good. I'm actually less excited.
It's like trail mix in a cookie, but like it smells really good. So
And if you like cookies, especially the ones of the people that I just interviewed, you can find their links down in the description box down below. That's a good segue, right? You'll also find my socials down there, and also my Patreon if you want to see the 3 uncut interviews that I had with these lovely, lovely individuals. I hope you learned something. I hope you were able to help make a decision either way. I hope your New Year's resolutions are going well. It's 3 days in at the time of me filming this, and I already broke the one that I had made. So time to make more, I guess. And I'll see you lovely queer people around, where I will continue being cool and chill and funny and hilarious and so sexy and intelligent. Why am I like this?